All right. Hi, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and get started. I just started recording. Excuse me. So first of all, hi. Thank you so much for being here. We are going to go through just some really basics of our upcoming trip to New York. Um, and I just wanted to get everyone together because we haven't talked together for a few months. So hopefully your students have been filling you in on what's been going on. So we obviously are having our travel come up here in about 2 weeks. And I just wanted to go over some previews for some things that have just recently changed, even since we've sent some of these things home. Okay, which actually is wonderful because it's a little bit later and makes our day a little bit later. They ended up switching our flight. It was not us that changed it, it was the airline. So we do have a few changes. So please look for, this was actually just sent to me about 2 hours ago from our travel agency. So I will be sending an updated one of these, which you probably got from your students. Again, we're trying to get you this information as soon as possible, but as you guys know with travel, especially the airline industry, things have been being canceled and moved and changed. So this was literally sent to me a couple hours ago. This should be how it says. There's a couple new things that I'm going to go over, and this is going to be sent to you, what you're seeing right now on the screen. Just can I get a confirmation you guys are seeing it says Scholastic Journeys final itinerary? Do you guys see that? Am I sharing correctly?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and go through this really quickly, and then I'm going to go through some of our procedures. But again, originally I did say have different flight information. It was just recently changed. So again, I'll resend this to you. You'll have it by your hands tomorrow morning. What we're looking at, and also that info packet that changes all the meet times and things like that. So this is a field trip. We will be sending the field trip forms, the official field trip form that is going to be for your student. They don't need teacher signed. It's just your information with their medical history. Please make sure that field trip form is signed both on the medical line and on the permissions line and dated, has your student's full name and ID number. Okay. Again, those should be going home next week by Tuesday. Okay, so that's coming up, your field trip, official field trip form. Even though they're already going on the trip, that's just for the school. Even though we're not missing days of school, it is a school trip. If you're here, you've already joined the Remind, but if you have anybody that wants to join, if you have a second parent or another guardian that wants to keep track of your student, you can have them join that Remind. The class code was sent home on this info sheet at the very top, but also it will be sent home on the new updated sheet tomorrow or Friday. Okay, so we leave on February 18th, which is a Saturday. Okay, so we have school that Friday. The group will now meet at 6:30, so it gives you a couple extra hours of sleep for those of you who are concerned about that early drop-off time. We have 2 tour managers that will be traveling with us. Anna Medeiros, who, if you guys know that name, she was the former drama teacher at Reef. So we have someone that is with us the whole time, including our 3 chaperones, myself, Mr. Castillo, and Mr. Castillo's lovely wife will be accompanying us on the trip. Okay, so again, their cell phone is here in case of emergencies. You also be able to contact me at any time via that Remind group. Okay, so our flight will depart Miami at 8:51. You must be at the airport by 6:30. Okay, one of either myself or Mr. Castillo will be at the airline check-in outside by American Airlines. So you will not have to park and walk your student in if you do not want to. You're more than welcome to if you want to. We will, as soon as we arrive, which I'm going to get to the airport at 6, on the Remind, we'll send a photo of what number we're standing underneath so that you can pull up and, give your, pass off your student traveler to us. Okay. So really that's important there for all of this information. We're going to go ahead and go through this as promised here. So again, as you know, we had some issues with some of the payment deadlines and things like that. So I'm going to give you all this information updated. We arrive at JFK at 11:48. There will be a motor coach there meeting us to transfer us to a hotel. Okay. We've also moved hotels. Okay. The hotel that we had originally had, we didn't get the deposit in time for that hotel. So now we're staying at the Edison. Okay. The new address and phone number of the hotel are there. Okay. We should be to the hotel. As you know, if you've ever been there, it takes a little bit of time to transfer and get into the city. Okay. We'll drop the suitcases off at the hotel, leave them there for storage. And we go right to our first event, which is the improv workshop and show, a lunch, which is included. Then we'll finally return for check-in. Okay. Just circling back to the drop off. Really, really important that you're not late for drop off. Okay. We are a group. We have, again, 41 travelers, and we really need to make sure that's including the chaperones, 38 students that will be going with us, and 3 of our chaperones, 2 of our tour managers. So if for whatever reason, you know, you're running late, we're going to be moving through security. So we are a group. We cannot wait for one person who's stuck in traffic or didn't wake up early. So if that becomes an issue, you know, we'll try to deal with it the best we can, but please do your part to check the traffic. Make sure you leave plenty of time to get to the airport. Again, if you're just dropping off, we'll have someone there starting at 6, okay, to drop off, but you must be there by 6:30. Okay, at 6:40, we leave to go to get to the security line. Okay, so that's really important. Also very important for that first day is that you must wear your NYC drama shirts, which you'll be getting in school. It's included with the trip. Okay, they're black, they're long sleeve. You must wear them for the travel day. When we get back to our hotel, they can change for the evening, but they should be wearing those drama shirts. That makes us easy to travel through the hotel, through the airport on that first day. Also, really important security information. No check bags. Okay, I talked about this as students, only carry-ons. Okay, please make sure your student knows how to pack the bag. Okay, so there's no liquids that are big. They must be small liquids. Normal TSA regulations through security, their bags will go through. No water bottles. We're a big group. We don't want people to have to get stopped and have to go through and have bags searched. Okay, that will really delay us. So please help your student pack. And if they don't travel a lot, make sure you go through everything with them. I've included a packing list. But you know, we'll talk about packing a little bit towards the end, but please make sure carry-on only plus one small personal item that could go under the seat. Okay, there's no exceptions to that. I'm going to cram everything into my carry-on as well. Okay, so that just in terms of the airport. There's also not a whole lot of time for Starbucks line. The Starbucks line is very long. Okay, they can grab a quick bite, but I highly suggest sending them already caffeinated with something in their stomachs, because a lot of those lines are very long. And again, since we're moving as a group, it may take us a little longer to get through security. We won't have a lot of time at the gate. Okay, so please do make sure that you guys have kind of fed them and kept them on their toes. If they're students, make sure you have eaten something, okay, so that you're not starving by the time we have, you know, lunch that day. Okay, I'm going to continue to move through the itinerary. After our workshop, we go back to change for dinner. Okay, we'll be then walking from our hotel. It's very close to Playwright Tavern. Okay, if you've been on one of these tours, this is a really fun little kind of pub type place. They usually have a room for us upstairs, so we'll be sitting all together as a group. Dinner is at 6. Again, the students will have a little bit of time after the lunch workshop to settle into the hotel, freshen up if they want. You probably about an hour to an hour and a half, okay, before they need to be back in the lobby. Then we have dinner, and then the first show that first night is Kimberly Akimbo. Okay. After the show, usually what we do is this is a normal musical length, so it should be done around 10:30. Okay. We're going to be back at the hotel, and there'll be a strict in your room time to stay quiet, like time. Okay. Sometimes if they're with a chaperone, if they want to pass by, we'll pass by the M&M store or something on our walk home. We will have them some time to stop or do some of little shopping around, as long as they're with the group. Again, or with a chaperone with the small group, that's totally fine. Again, they can mingle at the hotel until we have our room checks for the evening, which they must be in their own assigned room for the evening. Okay. So then moving on to day 2. Okay. We will knock on their doors and make sure they're getting up. But again, they'll be waking themselves up, and there is breakfast included at the hotel. Okay, then we're going to be making our way to Pearl Studios for a Broadway rehearsal workshop. Okay. And that will, again, it's again, relatively close to where we're going to be, pretty easy walk for that. If there is a reason that we need to, if there is inclement weather or something, we do get subway passes. So that is also an option if we have bad weather. Usually it's been in my past experiences, easier to walk. But it just depends on our weather. Okay. But we do have that option for us. We'll have lunch on our own. Basically, it's included in the price. We'll give each student a stipend. We give them money for that. So that's how that works. But again, most of those things will be something simple, like we stop at a Joe's Pizza or we have a quick bite somewhere. Okay, there's lots of options in that neighborhood. Okay, and then we'll be at our matinee on that day too, which is Some Like It Hot. Okay, after the matinee, we'll have a little bit of free time to explore the Times Square area, okay, and or to go back to the hotel if they want and change. And then we're going to be having dinner at Carmine's Italian on West 44th, followed by our third show of the trip, which is going to be Anne Juliet. Okay, that start time is at 7:30. Okay, that's on Sunday. Again, after the show, we may have a little bit of time to grab a quick dessert or maybe do a little like sightseeing, shopping on our way right back to our hotel. Okay, again, lights out and room checks will be that night. Then on our final day, Monday, which is the President's Day, again, breakfast included at the hotel. What they'll need to do is pack all of their luggage up. By the time that they come down, we'll be loading it onto our motor coach in the morning. Okay, we won't be storing it at the hotel. It'll be going straight onto the bus. We have the bus transport for this day. We're going to go to AMDA for a tour of the campus and a workshop led by their faculty. And then we'll be moving at 11:30 for a tour of the NYU campus. And hopefully a talk back with a former Reef alum. That's still being coordinated with that, but we're going to take a really nice tour. There is a special caveat for that we just got yesterday as well. And then the students be free to kind of explore the area. There's a couple of like food halls and things like that very close to campus. Again, they'll be getting a cash stipend to eat for that. Again, we're going to be doing lunch and the tour at that time. Okay. So I'm going to talk about the NYU tour. So I was just told this yesterday. They just sent an email to our tour guides that they've changed protocol on campus and that everyone must have either proof of vaccination or a negative COVID test to be allowed onto the campus or into the tour. You can walk the campus, but obviously to come inside the buildings, you'll need to show proof of either vaccination or negative to COVID test. So if that is an issue for anyone, obviously, we can, have a chaperone wait outside, but it would be terrible for them to miss out on this. So we need to make sure that your student has a picture of their vaccination card, or they need a digitized COVID results test. They can't take a picture of an at-home test. It has to be from a testing location where they have a digitized result, negative test, and it needs to be within 72 hours of the travel. Okay. Again, if you want to stay on after to speak about any concerns about that, please let me know. Again, this is new for us, new for our tour guides as well, new information they just got yesterday. Then motor coach will meet us right in front of the Tisch Arts building, where we'll get back on our bus where all of our luggage will be, and then transfer to LaGuardia. Our flight leaves at 8:05 and we return to Miami at 11:58, which is also a different flight than our original flight. Okay, so a little bit later. So basically we would like you to be there, at 11:50, waiting for your student to return. If you're going to be carpooling, I would love for you to send me a message saying who has permission to pick up your student. Or if any students are going to be driving themselves to the airport and parking, I also need to know. And when I send home the field trip forms, they will be one of those parent pickup forms that we do for states, for all the Heisenberg, all the field trips we have. It's the same form. You'll have to fill it out and include your license if they're driving themselves or if anyone else is picking them up, but their guardian that's signing their field trip form. Okay. So that is our itinerary. Okay. I'm going to go through some more things here, including final payments, some other kind of questions that I've kind of been fielding. But is there any questions first about questions? Okay. So I see, in terms of the vaccinations, it's just showing that you need to have your you're within like your first 2 vaccinations and then a 1 booster, I believe. If you have an issue, if you think it's going to be an issue again, you can send me your question directly and I will follow up with them to confirm if you think, okay, this has been a little bit out of the normal, field of time. If it's a specific question for you that you're not sure about dates, you can send me their vaccination date and I will double check through the tour company that it is okay. If it's not, then we just would have to get a negative COVID test for that. I see someone else with their hand.
Yes, it's me,
Hi.
Sabina. Hi, it's Catherine Mother.
Hi.
For the identification to travel, they need the passport or the driver license is okay?
Okay, so what the TSA requires, if they're 18 or over, they must have an ID and the driver's license is fine. They do not need any sort of passport or anything like that. If your student is under 18, technically, they don't need a ID. However, if your student has some sort of identification, it's always helpful to bring it because some of our students look like they're 18 and they might get stopped in security and asked, and it just makes it easier if they have something, if they have a learner's permit, if they have any sort of identification, please send it with them. Again, in the past, I've gone on this trip many times, but they've been with middle schoolers, so they look a little bit younger. What I was advised by our tour company is anyone that is traveling on this trip, most of them look like they could be adults. If they have any sort of form of, whether it's a learner's permit or a live driver's license or any other form of identification, they should bring it just in case they're asked for it. Okay. Again, if there's a specific question about your form of identification, you can let me know. Shoot me an email. Hey, she only doesn't have this. She only has the, passport. And I will get the answer for you before the end of this weekend. Again, from what they sent me so far, we're asking about the vaccination card to enter. It would just have to be your recent vaccination card with the 2 shots. It's again, depending on if you have Pfizer or depending if you have the 2 shots within 6 months, and I believe 1 booster. But again, I will find that information out because this is so new for us as well. Their email to me was very vague, so I'm coming into this and they haven't responded to my email. I had sent an email back about a couple of questions for them about if there's a place for students who are not able to go to wait on campus, and they haven't gotten back to me. So as soon as I get that information, I will pass it on to you. Suzanne, you have a question?
Yep. I don't know if you spoke about this at the beginning of the meeting. Forgive me if you did. Is another payment due? And I thought there wasn't, but then what's the total? Is it different from what we were originally told?
That's a great question. I haven't talked about that, but I'm about to put the graphic up on the screen about everything. It has not changed from the original meeting, but what did change was how the treasurer put it into OSP, and I'll go speak about that in just 1 minute. That's my next point of order here. Are there any more questions about the itinerary or vaccines? That again, I will get the official response about the booster and send it on home with you this week, just to clarify with this updated itinerary. But if is there any more questions before I move on to the payment schedules and other things like that? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again here. 1 second. So what we have been doing is, if you were there for the very first meeting, you remember that this trip is based on the number of travelers. Okay, again, don't look at this. I'm just going to scroll down here to this next little bit. Okay, this is like the original graphic that was on my PowerPoint, which I sent out. And if you were at the meeting, we recorded that meeting. That this is a tiered field trip, right? The price is reduced by the number of travelers. So where we ended up was at 38 paying travelers, okay, 38 students that are traveling. So the total price is $1,889. The reason why the balance, why we have this extra $180 due, is because we couldn't put into OSP more than that when we first put them into OSP, we didn't know the number of travelers. So we put in the minimum price if we had 50 or more going, and then the final payment is offsetting based on the number of travelers, which if you can imagine for a trip like this, all of the shared expenses, right? That would be like our airport transfer, mostly is the biggest, change, or anywhere that gives like sometimes the airline have tiered things like that. So that is what that difference, that's why there's that difference based on the number of travelers. Go ahead and I'm gonna just mute. I'm just gonna mute someone's okay. So that's what that difference is. So this is our what it looks like for us. So the total payment, the last payment you have, which is gonna be due on the 6th, is $180. Okay, that brings us up to the total of $1,889, which is the total cost of the trip. Okay, based on the 35 to 39 travelers. You paid a $250 deposit. Payment 2 is $500. Payment 3 was $949. That was just paid yesterday. Then we did of the fundraisers that we've done, we earmarked our at that time Krispy Kreme, which we had $400 for Krispy Kreme, which ended up being basically $10 a traveler, which was the booster wrote me a check for that. It's being transferred into the travel fund, which takes $10 off the total price of the trip per traveler, right? Divided by the 38 student travelers. So basically that takes your final payment from $190 down to $180. Okay, so it took $10 off the total price, okay, which takes us up to that original $1,889 per 35 to 39 travelers. Okay, so that is where we are in terms of payments. Everyone has paid all of the payments up through payment 3. Payment 4 is in the account, ready to be transferred to that $400 from booster. And then now we have, again, the balance payment of $180 per traveler, which should be opening in OSP tonight or tomorrow. I will let you know as soon as our treasurer happened to have a family emergency today. She was not at school, so I know it didn't go in today. I think she's going to be there tomorrow, so it should go in tomorrow. Okay, and then it closes on the 6th. So it's a very short window to pay because basically this last thing is going to be paying our bus transport. Okay, so that's what the 2 transfer buses from the day of the bus, the last day of travel, and also our first day transfer from the airport into the city. Okay, so again, I'm going to go ahead and let me see if I can also show, let's see here. I'm going to also go back to the original slideshow for those of you who either you may have watched it on our YouTube channel if you were not there with us for the first meeting, but we recorded it and posted on our YouTube channel. Let's see here if I can get this share. Are you guys seeing a PowerPoint? No, not yet. Hold on. Oh, you were. Okay, let's try one more time. Okay, so this is back to our original PowerPoint. Okay, if you remember this from the trip, I went through about the agency that we chose. We went through all of this information. I'm just gonna go ahead and scroll through some of this stuff because obviously some of this doesn't include. Okay, and this was the original, again, graphic from the pricing. Again, it's a tiered thing. I understand that there's confusion, but the total pricing again is based on the travelers, because we have a number of people per room, which is split between all travelers. Also based upon if there's chaperones that are paying, that also leads to, but we had no chaperones volunteer to go. So we, as teachers, right, have to attend all the, and we had to invite a third chaperone. Okay, so that also affects that. And then we ended up being fine on rooms. We had a good split of rooms upgrades. Okay, but it does, we are kind of seeing that. Okay. So again, this is where I went through the payment schedule on that first day that showed the tiered payment. And again, I know this has been, it's an expensive trip. I know it's been tough for everybody, especially considering we have some of you guys are students going to States and things like that as well. But if you have any other questions, I'm happy to either put you in touch with our travel agent, right? If you have more questions about the breakdown of the fees or anything like that, I'm more than happy to go over that with you guys or have her go over it with you. So are there any other questions about payments given that information? If we still have questions, I'm happy to answer.
Okay, my follow-up question, I guess, you when you went through the itinerary just now, you pretty much said that all their scheduled meals will be covered,
Yes,
right?
the
So,
only meals that won't be covered will be at the airport. Like, we don't provide breakfast at first travel, like in the morning. But now that they're traveling a little later, if they come fed, they should be totally fine. And the only other thing would be at the airport, since we're eating kind of like everything is kind of early. If they get hungry, since it's a late flight, if they want to buy anything at the airport, they would need money for that. Also, any other auxiliary money that you would like to send with them for spending. There won't be a lot of time for any sort of shopping or anything like that. We have a very packed schedule. And I told them today from me that that you need very little spending money, just based on, the where we are in the travel. But that's up to you guys as a family to decide. But that is true, because you everything is pretty much covered except for the breakfast on the morning, and then if they want to get something in the evening on their way home at the airport. And then I guess the last thing, if there's any other questions about payments or OSP or anything like that, again, I will send a remind to this group as soon as it is live in OSP, that final payment, so that and you're not looking for it. Again, because I'm not sure when if the treasurer will in fact be back tomorrow or not. Last thing, packing. It's going to be a little cold. If you've been watching the New York weather, it's been beautiful one day and it's been sleeting, rain, and snowy kind of weather the next. So please continue to monitor the weather. Make sure that your student has appropriately warm clothes, because we will be walking so they need comfortable shoes. Okay, they need warm gloves or hat in case layers. I highly suggest layers. So if it does get warm and they're outside, they can take them off, or if it's cold, they can put them on. And also that you're looking at their outfits. They're representing Reef drama. I'm all for fashion, especially we're going to New York, but we want to make sure there's nothing too low, too short. Again, if you wouldn't, wear it in front of Miss Berger, our principal, don't take it on the trip. Okay, so please help. I also do just need to mention, we as the chaperones on this trip, Mr. Castillo and I, we need to be able to keep your kids safe. Okay, that's number one. All right, so we reserve the right to be checking if we have any suspicion of anything that is dangerous to them or themselves, their rooms, their bags. Okay, this goes without saying. Okay, absolutely no vape pens, any drugs, any alcohol. Obviously, that is strictly against school protocol. I just want to say it to put in everyone's ears. We have a zero tolerance policy on that. Okay, so just make sure, please, that we're making good choices. This is a fabulous group. I know that we're going to have an amazing time, but also to speak to them, I said today, they need to be adults on this trip. That means when we need to meet, you're meeting at being on time so we can leave as a group, that they're being responsible, that they're being aware. This is New York City. There's a lot of people. It's a city full of people that are living there, going to work every day. They can't be walking through the streets looking at their phones. They need to be aware we're going to be crossing streets. We're going to be getting onto public transport. I will be having a talk with them about city safety in class, but it's always good to hear it from two places. They need to be with a chaperone at all times. They can't go off alone. They also cannot meet. Even if you have family and things like that, this is not a time for them to go to dinner with their aunt that lives in the West Village. This is not that trip. Okay, this is an educational trip where we're moving as a group. As much as I love seeing friends and family, we just have to make sure that we have a group mentality as we travel. I'm also going to say, make sure they have phone chargers. Make sure they have appropriate, again, toiletries that fit in their carry-on baggage. Make sure they have appropriately warm clothes. Make sure that they have something so they can carry their valuables around the city, wear a small purse or something that they can put under their coat. Make sure that they have, I'm going to recommend everyone bring a mask. There has been an upsurge of, doesn't even have to be COVID, the flu, strep throat, all sorts of stuff happening. They can choose not to wear it, but we're going to be on tight spaces on the plane and certainly on public transport and in some crowded spaces. It doesn't hurt to have it. If someone's coughing next to you, you slip it on and we go on with our day. So again, that's sort of it from me in terms of generalized things. I want to again reiterate that there has been a lot of changes to this itinerary since we sent this home not 3 days ago. Our tour guides have been working diligently to make sure everything is updated. You know, things with payments and stuff were delayed a few days, a couple of the times, so that led to some of the changes, but we're all set and confirmed. Again, that last payment is just paying our bus and we are ready to go. So look for, I will send it digitally, a new one of these, and with the updated itinerary that has the new flight numbers, the new times and all of that, home tomorrow, but also I'll be posting it in the remind and sending one home as well. Question.
Random mom question, water bottles. So since they're doing only carry-on, then do you recommend that they carry like an empty water bottle to be refilled? Will water be provided? Wait, that's part one. And then part two, oh, backpack. So I mean, for travel, they can have two personal items, right? So a small carry-on and a backpack.
Right, so a small carry-on that would contain their clothes, and then I would say a small personal item, like a small backpack or purse. That would go, so it'd be, if you're thinking about travel, something that can go in the overhead bin, right? And something that could go under their seat. And in terms of water bottles, that's a great question. Empty water bottles are fine to go through security, but they must be empty when you send them. A lot of times people forget to do it and then it holds up the line. So definitely you can take a small water bottle that's empty and then they can take it through security and fill up their water bottle once we're through security. And then they can also have it to carry around the city. I think that's a great suggestion to stay hydrated. There's also small gift shops and things. Obviously we're flying too, so we're not able, like sometimes when we go on states, we bring water bottles and things like that from boosters. So we won't have anything like that for them. So if that's something that you know your student likes to drink lots of water, I think an empty travel water bottle is perfect. Or they can buy a water bottle at the, you know, that first day, either at the airport or at the, you know, and then just keep refilling it. That's fine too, to have in their rooms and whatnot in the evening. Any other questions? Because I know we're running out of our Zoom time.
Yeah, Miss Sabina, I have a
Yes.
question. I wasn't able to log in at the beginning. I was having trouble. I
Sure.
caught you at the end of this mention, and it was about the COVID
Yes.
vaccine card. You
Yes.
said it had to be a certain amount of
Yeah, so I
time?
sent an email. So what it said in the email sent to me, that they should have their original vaccination, which depending if you have which shot that they got, they needed 2, right, to make that, and then 1 booster. So
Does it matter if the booster was 6 months ago?
it should be okay, but I did send that question to our
Okay.
travel agent, and as soon as I have an answer, I will pass it along through the remind to you guys. And I will clarify that. And I also was asking if there's someone that doesn't meet this criteria, you know, if, you know, they can have a negative COVID test within 72 hours if they still want to go on the tour. If there's someone that doesn't want to do either of those things, we're looking for a space that they can be with one of the chaperones outside of the campus. Like they're on the campus, but outside of the building.
Okay, and then my last question, I'm sorry, I also missed the, oh boy, now I forgot, I had the question. The food. I caught, right, that's when I came in and you said all foods are covered?
Except for the breakfast in the morning, but again, we're getting there a little later now, so our flight was changed. So you know, they can eat before they comes. But if they want anything to spend it at the airport there or at the airport on the way home, they would need to bring their own money.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else here? I think we have about a minute left here before it's going to cut us off. Another school Zoom is shorter. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Again, if you have any individual questions for your student traveler, please feel free to email me. Okay, then I can handle those on a 1-by-1 basis. But again, give me until tomorrow. I will send an updated itinerary with that you just saw that I just went through, along with that new, like, you know, the dates. Okay, please again make sure everyone's on the remind. That is our best way of contacting all of you throughout the trip and for us to send you updates. Okay, thank you all so much for being here, and I look forward to a fabulous trip coming up here in a couple weeks. So thank you guys again for being here, and please email me with any questions. All right,
Thank you.
thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks.